Welcome to Stephen FM AI, Ireland's Daily Digest. You know, it really feels like a storm is gathering over Ireland. Today, we're going to connect the dots between a few reports that, on the surface, seem separate. But when you look closer, they point to a nation under siege, from threats to our economy, to our press, and even to our most sacred historical sites.
Okay, let's just dive right into the most immediate threat. A former advisor to the Taoiseach, Dr. Alan Ahern, has come out with a pretty terrifying warning. He's not mincing words at all, predicting what he calls the mother of all global recessions. And he says Ireland is uniquely at risk. So the big question is, where's this coming from?
Well, it all goes back to a major power struggle happening in Washington, D.C. And it's creating a two-front problem for Ireland. One is economic, and this one threatens your wallet and your pension directly. The other is diplomatic, and it's threatening the very voice of our free press.
So here's the breakdown. On one side, you have Donald Trump, who wants to force the U.S. Federal Reserve to slash interest rates, really for his own political gain. And on the other side, you've got the Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, trying to resist what he calls intimidation. Now, for a small, open economy like ours, this is way more than just political drama. A panic in the U.S. bond market could freeze up credit and absolutely wreck Irish pension funds almost overnight.
And the clock is seriously ticking. We're counting down to May, and that's when Powell's term is up. The real fear is that a political appointee could be put in his place, a lackey, someone who will do what they're told, not what the economy actually needs. And that's the moment the risk of financial chaos gets critically real for all of us. But it's not just our economy under fire in D.C.
Let's switch gears to that diplomatic front. This right here, this was the moment that Irish journalist Niall Stanage, who reports for The Hill, was publicly attacked by the White House press secretary. He wasn't giving his opinion, he was simply asking a question. But the response was just immediate and totally hostile.
So what was the question that got him that response? Well, Stanage, in his rich northern tones, was asking for accountability over the killing of an unarmed mother by an ICE agent. The response? To just label him a left-wing activist signals a new, hostile era for our reporters working abroad. I mean, when just asking for the truth is treated like a political attack, the whole job of journalism itself is under threat.
So while we're being squeezed from the outside, there's this fascinating pushback happening right here at home. This next part of our explainer looks at how Ireland is responding from within, starting with a kind of social rebellion from our most experienced generation.
Communications giants Terry Prone and Fergus Finlay are leading what they're calling a gray rebellion. They are just sick and tired of the daily insults of ageism, being called sprightly and things like that. They're out there reminding Ireland that they aren't old fossils, no way. They are the generation that fought for divorce, for contraception, and literally built the modern, liberal country that we all live in today.
And this quote from Fergus Finlay just cuts right to the bone. He admits that he still has presidential ambitions, but says he's bluntly told he is too fucking old. So now, through their new podcast, Grey Matters, they're fighting this prejudice head-on, demanding the respect their generation has more than earned.
Now, this spirit of reinvention isn't just about challenging how we think about age. It's about redefining Irish identity itself. And this next internal shift, well, it can be captured by a single, powerful number, 0.0%.
And who does this belong to? None other than Peter O'Mahony, the man who basically defines hard man grit on the rugby pitch. He's moving into the non-alcoholic beer market. His new venture is a massive bet on a cultural shift toward wellness. Think about it. When one of our toughest national heroes decides the future of a good night out doesn't need alcohol, the very idea of the Irish pint is being redefined right before our eyes.
Okay, so this brings us to the final part of Ireland's response. It's not just about our money or our modern culture. It's about protecting the nation's soul. The government is now drawing a very firm line in the sand to defend our most ancient and sacred history from being exploited for cash.
And the choice being made here couldn't be clear. It's dignity over dollars. The Office of Public Works is basically deciding that the integrity of our ancient heritage is way more valuable than the easy money and publicity that comes from turning these historic sites into backdrops for TV shows.
And let's be clear, this isn't just a suggestion, it's a firm policy. The hit show, The Traitors Ireland, was specifically denied permission to film at the Hill of Tara. Pop star Sophie Ellis-Bextor was also turned down. The reason they gave is that our heritage sites are for education and respect, not for projects that are seen as paranormal, political, or inappropriate.
All right, so let's pull back and look at the big picture for a second. When we put all these different pieces together, the economic threat, the press freedom fight, the Grey Rebellion, the cultural shift, the heritage defense, what do we actually see?
We see a nation defending itself on 5 distinct fronts.
Let's recap it. Economically, we're bracing against a potential meltdown coming from the U.S. Diplomatically, our press is standing up for its right to ask hard questions. Domestically, our elders are rebelling against ageism. Culturally, we're evolving what it even means to be Irish. And historically, we're defending our most sacred ground. The North Star of this whole explainer is simple. Ireland is actively standing its ground on all fronts.
So, the government has drawn its line in the sand on our heritage, but that brings us to the final question, and this one is for you. Do you agree with it? Should we prioritize the dignity of these ancient sites over the easy money that comes from filming? I'd really love to know your thoughts in the comments below, and of course, be sure to subscribe to keep Ireland's Daily Digest right here in your feed.
Whether it's facing down threats from abroad or fighting prejudice from within, the theme from today's explainer is unmistakable. Ireland is standing its ground. Thanks for joining us. And that's the latest from Stephen FM AI, Ireland's Daily Digest.